Thunderfury. Welcome back to another Bit Legend video, fellas. I've been waiting to bring this one to you, and this is courtesy of Vuk, making the world first Thunderfury. Shout out to the S3 Mafia Guild for coordinating it and making sure to get both pieces on the same player. We are going to go over the skills in a second, but if you want to craft this weapon, you can click on your Forge button in the bottom right corner, go to the Exchange tab, and there it is for you, so you can take a peek at the weapon. The bonuses made it a little bit confusing. A lot of players are wondering, is this a tank item? Is this going to be a DPS item? The skills really kind of settle that argument. We'll look at the skills in a second. But if you look at the bonuses here, speed, crit, damage reduction, absorb, electricity damage, very attractive for everybody, and it starts off at 452 total stats without any upgrades, and it's probably going to get around to 1,000 or 1,100 based on my estimation. So really big stat stick, really good bonuses. Everybody wants it for those reasons, but the skills are going to really decide, is this something that you should chase after or not? And like I said, we'll show those in a second. So to craft this thing, you need the left-sided part of the blade, which will come from Guild Boss 2. You need the right-sided part of the blade, and that will come from Guild Boss 3. My suggestion to any guild is whoever gets one piece should have priority on the other piece, but you guys are going to have to figure that out for yourselves and see if you can coordinate that. But it wouldn't make sense if one person has one piece, one person has another piece, and then you're just gonna wait twice as long to get an item made. You also need 10 of these new mythic materials. You can craft them in the recipe here. Pretty expensive. I think it's gonna be very, very difficult to get enough epic materials and to get enough nuggets. If you wanna boost your nuggets, you can take a look at the black market, which should be available now, but I think it's gonna be fusion materials this week. So very, very expensive to make. You're going to need 300 to craft it. And then for the first upgrade, I believe it's 30 nuggets. We don't know what the second upgrade is going to be. It could be 30, 60, 90, 150, something like that. I'll try to bring that info to you guys as soon as we figure it out. But I believe it is 30 to upgrade it +1. So there you go. For a reference, if you wanted to upgrade 6 set pieces from no upgrades all the way up to +4 at max, it would take you just under 500 nuggets. So you have to choose, do you want to save your nuggets for set pieces? And again, it was like 480 to max 6 set pieces, or do you want to spend 300 just to craft this item and then 30 and so on to upgrade it? So you really have to make a call on that. But it's gonna be difficult getting the epic materials. Like if we use me for an example, it's gonna take me a ton of gold to roll this into blue, and then if I roll the blue into epic, I think the epic materials is gonna surprise people. That's gonna be very, very difficult, but there you go. Let's go into the weapons. So like I said, if you wanna see this in game, take a look at Vuk, but I got him on the friends list, so here we go. Beautiful item. And you see the cosmetic there. It's got a little particle glowing effect animation on the hilt. I kind of expected the blade to have a little bit of electricity stuff going on. You can actually see a little bit at the tip, a tiny, tiny amount. If you really glue your eyes to the screen, you can see a little bit of sparkles. Maybe it's more in combat, but let's click on these skills. So I'm going to be very, very harsh in my critique. That's kind of how I roll. And this item is very, very difficult to get, very expensive. This is the most valued item, I guess I could say, in the game right now. It is a tank weapon, and let me tell you why. So starting off with the skills, the 0 SP skill is a attack target. That is actually really, really cool. That's going to be very, very helpful for a handful of cases. 0 SP attack target. It's also nice that they're starting to explore the SP system and not just have every single 0 SP skill be attack closest. I would if this was more geared for a tank, I'd like to see like a 0 SP self shield or 0 SP self heal, or that's kind of what I want to see on monsters in the future. That's what I want to see on tank items in the future. And while we're on the subject, I'm very surprised that we're seeing the Thunderfury before we're seeing a tank weapon, or any of the set weapons, I mean. Kind of interesting, but those are off of Guild Boss 4, so it makes sense. Anyways, so the 0 SP attack target skill, it's useful. However, it's a decent percentage, but if you compare it to the other skills here, they have higher multipliers. So if you're a bounty hunter tank, you're going to get a lot of SP, and you're going to value the other skills highly, mostly for your survival. If you are a bounty hunter DPS, you're going to get a lot of SP, and just because you want to do more damage, you're likely to favor the other skills as well. So it's cool. I'm glad they're experimenting and getting a little bit more creative than just a 0 SP closest attack. So it's improvement, but it might not be as exciting as you think. The second skill, 1 SP attack to random. A decent damage multiplier on here. Keep in mind that you're hitting 2 enemies, so you're getting double the damage that you see. The problem is that reflect and diversion are very popular in the game, and you are going to run into issues with this skill. So if you're doing PvP, most people are running at 1 to 3 to even 4 reflect tanks to attack randoms here. This could be enough. If you crit and you get reflected, you're probably going to die if you're a DPS player on this. If you're a tank, you're going to favor survival skills. The first survival skill is going to be the 2 SP leeching skill. So you're hitting the closest enemy, which is a good damage multiplier. If you look at the damage on the screen, that's going to hit pretty hard, and then you're going to heal for half the damage that you deal. I did the numbers on myself based on my own stats, and this would heal me for 1,000. So it's pretty good. Pretty good to heal me for 1,000 out of the 9.5 thousand hit points that I have. If you look at the 4 SP attack all skill, this is probably going to be pretty attractive for folks. If you're not a bounty hunter DPS, you're really not going to get a lot of SP to be able to utilize this as much as you want. I have been fairly vocal trying to get more SP gain talents in the other builds to make it more even, because that's the real main outlier between the different DPS builds and even tank builds, is that bounty hunters get a ton of SP and other classes really don't, or they just don't get it anywhere near an equal amount. So if you're not a bounty hunter DPS, you're not going to be able to spam this skill. If you are a bounty hunter DPS, you will be able to use it. However, the problem is if you use your full launch and your full launch does this ability, it's going to take 4 out of your 8 SP. Maybe you'll use it twice. And I don't think you're going to get the maximum damage per SP. So I think this is actually going to be a damage loss versus a weapon like a 1 SP attack closest, because you can use that skill 8 times, or you could use this skill twice. So I think there's a really good chance this is going to mess up your full launch, but hasn't been tested yet. That's just a theory. And then the last skill on here, the bottom skill you're seeing is from the mount, so we're going to ignore that. The last skill that you're seeing here, the 4 SP shield self, I did the math based on my own stats. 50% shield is the max shield that you can get unless you have a special shielding talent. This would shield me for 40%. So this one button would almost cap my shield. So very strong for a tank. Only the bounty hunter tank will have enough SP to actually use this. The exception would be if you get like an SP shrine and then you go into the next battle with full SP, you could pop this off. But that's like the exception. So bounty hunter tank would have more usability out of this. I really hope that they add some sort of SP gain to the other tanks, to the other DPS players, so they can be more, have more interesting skill sets, more interesting utilization of the skill sets. But as it is right now, it's still an issue. And even if you are a bounty hunter tank, you're still not getting enough attacks in. This is going to give you some speed, so it's going to be a help in the right direction. And maybe with the massive amount of total stats an item like this is going to get, you'll be able to fit in more agility stat to your build. But it's good. It's good for a tank. It's good for a tank, but I think the selling point on this is really not these skills. It's the bonuses, it's the total stats. And if you are a DPS player, and I'm kind of like walking on your dreams right now, I would not stress about this. I would actually sit back, wait a little bit, a couple more guild bosses get released, and I'm assuming, this is just based on my own assumption, that there will be a healer-focused ancient item, there will be DPS-focused ancient item, and as we continue to critique skills like this, the developers might see what kind of skills that we really want to see on weapons like that. But for a tank weapon, I think it's okay. I give it like a B-, which is fairly harsh, but like I said, only a bounty hunter tank will be able to utilize these skills, and they'd have to really consider putting enough agility and speed on to get more than 2 hits in per battle. But it's cool. It's cool. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Do you guys agree with what I'm saying? Am I being too harsh? Is this an item that you guys still want? Or are you just eagerly waiting for them to add a DPS ancient item into the game? Thunderfury was named after the I think it's the first legendary sword in WoW. And then of course it was a tank item. There was also a legendary staff for healers, and I don't know if the Hand of Ragnaros was the first DPS weapon or was it a tank weapon too? I don't know. We might see something that would be similar to that, as a lot of games like to pay respect to previous games that the devs have played, or will they just kind of go off and do their own thing? But pretty cool. Vuk Life, world first. If you're curious about what I'm going to do, I've been talking to a lot of the players in the guild. I think most of the DPS don't even want to roll on this item. There might be like one or two that still wants the stat stick. I would still say they should probably just hang on to their nuggets and upgrade everything else, and also wait for another possible DPS item. And then as far as the tanks, a couple of our tanks, we've only got really 3 that are active, including myself. A lot of guys are torn. I'm torn too. Do you want to invest on this item where it's really good, but it might not be optimized for what your build is? Or do you want to just, upgrade your set a lot faster? Like I said, 480 nuggets to completely max 6 pieces of sets, assuming you can get 6 pieces of sets, of course. Or you can use 300 to craft this, 30 to upgrade it +1, and then we don't know the increased upgrade cost. So I'm very torn. I don't know what's going to happen. We've talked about it. We kind of have a little bit of a game plan of what's going to happen in Unity. But talking about it's one thing, and then actually the blade pieces dropping is another thing. I am fairly relieved though. I thought the +1 upgrade was going to be like 100 nuggets, if not more. And so the fact that it's 30 makes it more approachable. I was assuming that it might be like 1,000 to craft it, and then plus the full upgrades. So we'll see what happens. I think people will make their decision when the item drops. I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal. I don't think it's going to be like a drama situation. If your guild is in a similar situation and you guys are sweating the Thunderfury blades, I don't really think they're that rare. We've seen a couple pieces drop each week. It's only been 2 weeks so far. So maybe people are getting really lucky, or maybe these items are not very rare and it's a little bit of a hook so that more people can craft the item and use up their nuggets. So I wouldn't sweat it. Very interesting. I'm very hopeful to see more ancient items in the game so that every class feels like they got what they want. And let me know what you think. It's kind of fitting that it is completely pouring rain right now and I'm talking about Thunderfury. So anyways, as always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.